There's this intersection in Seattle on 90th and Aurora that's known as the Switchblade, or as some local residents like to put it, where crack and hoe intersect. Yeah, I know. For the past 5 years, good morning, Isabel. I've been working with those experiencing homelessness and addiction. And, good morning. Hey, Pat. And Aurora is one of those places where you can find a lot of beauty and, a lot of needles. In his 1903 book titled The Souls of Black Folks, sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois asserts, Black bodies can only gain identity and voice through a concept known as standpoint epistemology. He argues that those with lived experience hold the most expertise on the given subject. Thus, a lack of shared experience creates conflict. Those in authority and those in dominance fail to recognize the voices of those they silence and continue to delegitimize their experiences. Playing Parts by Lana Lane. Instead of speaking for, it's time we listen to. So I'm making coffee like I normally do, and the space is kind of set up like a giant loft, you know. You got your living room over there, you got your library over there, and the kitchen where I hang out. And that's when I spot her. This woman, you know. She walks into the center. And like many of the women who walk into our center, she makes her living as a sex worker. You know, she sells sex. That was obvious. Hey. But no, this woman, you know, I see her walking in, or wobbling, I should say, on these toothpick stilettos, thigh-high boots, you know. She's trying to kick those suckers off, but she can't. She's just wrestling and wrangling with them. And she finally gets them off. She falls into the armchair. Good morning. A couple minutes later, I've noticed someone's covered her with a blanket. And it's just a very peaceful scene, you know? An hour later, the very same woman is screaming at the top of her lungs. I come up from the back and I don't hear everything she says, but I hear her say this. I work too damn hard. I don't steal. I don't lie. Why would someone take one of the only things that I own? How am I supposed to work tonight without my shoes? I myself have experienced homelessness 3 times in my life. You know, once as a child, once as a teenager, and once as an adult. And if I've learned anything from my time out there on the streets and from kicking it with this population here in Aurora, it's this. You cannot be seen as weak when you're on the streets. So when she first started up, I thought she was trying to make a point. She was not an easy target. But I quickly realized that things get out of hand, so I walked her over to the donation closet, and I told her I would find her a pair of shoes. But with each pair of shoe, the angrier she got. And the angrier she got, the more desperate I became. She finally stopped me and said, Lana, I don't want your shoes. I want my shoes. The ones I worked too damn hard for and paid for myself. Now, I couldn't argue with that. But I was going to find her a pair of shoes, and she was going to love them. What's that? What's that? Like, you don't need that. Let me help you. Let me help you. And that's when the knife came out. And I realized that I needed to make a decision. You know what? Any training manual will tell you that this is the part where you run to the back office, you lock the doors, and you call 911. But as I stood there, looking at her, I recognized the look in her eyes. I remember what it was like out there on the streets, and as I looked down at the knife, I realized it wasn't so much of a weapon as it was a prop, you know, in a theatrical performance. She was putting on a show. And let me tell you, she played her part beautifully. She said her piece. She got some respect. And all I had to say was, now, will you please put the knife away? And she did. Now, most people will tell me that they can't believe that I didn't call the police. And I tell them I wasn't afraid of her. I was afraid for her. No. For her. What do you think the chances are that if I called a police officer to the scene, that a gun would have been pulled out on this woman? And if this black woman had bled out on that floor because I called a cop to a scene who did not understand the code of the streets, who did not understand that he was watching theater, then her blood would have been on my conscience for the rest of my life. So yeah, I followed the code of the streets. You know, she even got her shoes back, by the way. You know, this story wasn't about a woman who got her shoes stolen. This story was about having a voice. Now, yes, sometimes it's my responsibility to call the police. But other times it's my duty to shut up and listen. To shut up and listen to a person who's been talked at, talked over, spoken for. Speak for themselves. Even if it's not in a language I fully understand.